The glittering lights of the entertainment industry often conceal the deep and complex undercurrents that dictate the legacies of its greatest icons. For decades, the public has consumed the narrative of the tragic artist, a figure of immense talent who is ultimately consumed by the very flames that fueled their brilliance. This familiar arc is deeply embedded in modern pop culture, creating a lens through which every triumph and every stumble is viewed with an almost voyeuristic intensity. When we look at the history of television and music, certain moments stand out as definitive cultural touchstones, instances where the stakes felt incredibly high not just for the individuals involved, but for the millions of viewers watching from home. These moments are meticulously crafted, designed to evoke deep emotional responses, yet behind the polished exterior of the screen lies a world of tight control, strict non-disclosure agreements, and intense pressure to maintain a specific storyline. The tension between the constructed reality of media moguls and the lived experiences of those who inhabit that world forms the basis of an unfolding controversy that has recently reignited public fascination. It reminds us that the stories we are told about our favorite stars are rarely as simple as they appear on the surface, and that the battle over historical truth can begin long after the final curtain has fallen. As we begin to peel back the layers of this fascinating situation, we invite you to hit the subscribe button and join our community, ensuring you never miss an in-depth analysis of the hidden forces shaping the entertainment world. The power of a single broadcast to define a human being's entire existence is a terrifying prospect, yet it is a reality that the most celebrated figures in music history have had to navigate. The relationship between the interviewer and the subject is a delicate dance of trust and exploitation, where a single misstep can alter public perception for generations. For a long time, certain narratives were accepted as absolute truth simply because they were delivered by voices of immense authority, individuals whose platforms were so vast that their words carried the weight of historical fact. However, the digital age has democratized the flow of information, allowing those who were actually in the room, standing just inches away from the action, to finally step forward and challenge the official record. This shift has created a fascinating friction between institutional media power and the authentic recollections of eyewitnesses who have nothing to gain but the truth itself. Lingering questions surrounding a monumental television event from years ago have suddenly returned to the forefront of public consciousness, sparked by recent remarks made on an international stage. These remarks did not just stir up old memories, they struck a raw nerve, forcing a re-examination of a pivotal moment that was supposed to represent redemption but is now being recast as an arena of exploitation. The unfolding drama serves as a stark reminder of how fragile a legacy can be when it becomes a weapon in the pursuit of headlines and historical dominance. It forces the audience to question the motives behind sudden revelations that emerge long after the subjects themselves are no longer here to defend their own honor. The atmosphere surrounding this debate is heavy with a sense of unresolved grievance, as long-term observers and close associates refuse to let a carefully constructed memory be dismantled without a fight. The details currently emerging paint a picture of backstage dynamics that are far more intense and controlled than the viewing public could have ever imagined at the time. It is a story about the ownership of narrative, about who gets to tell the story of a legendary life, and whether the truth can survive the relentless machinery of high-stakes television production. The initial wave of public reaction has been swift and deeply polarized, reflecting the profound love the world still holds for a voice that defined an era. Contrasted against the massive respect and authority commanded by a titan of global broadcasting, this clash of giants is not merely a piece of celebrity gossip. It is a profound exploration of media ethics, the nature of memory, and the responsibility that comes with holding the keys to cultural history. As the conversation intensifies, the discrepancies between different accounts of the exact same afternoon are becoming impossible to ignore, creating an atmospheric puzzle that demands closer inspection. Every archive, every past statement, and every silent witness is being re-evaluated in the light of day, signaling that the comfortable consensus of the past is officially over. The stage is set for a deeper dive into what really happened when the cameras were supposedly turned off, a journey that reveals as much about the nature of fame and media power as it does about the brilliant, complicated soul at the absolute center of the storm. The controversy centers around a monumental moment in television history that took place in the autumn of 2009. a period when the entire world was eagerly anticipating the return of one of the greatest vocal talents the music industry had ever witnessed. It was the highly publicized season premiere of a legendary daytime talk show, structured as an emotional, raw, and deeply personal two-part interview designed to showcase a journey of survival, recovery, and musical rebirth. The artist was there to promote what would ultimately become her final studio album, an offering that carried the hopes of millions who wanted nothing more than to see her reclaim her rightful throne at the absolute pinnacle of global stardom. The narrative arc presented to the public was one of hard-won triumph over severe personal adversity, a candid exploration of a turbulent divorce, and a heavily scrutinized battle with severe substance abuse. However, the true nature of what transpired behind the scenes during that high-stakes recording session has suddenly become the subject of an intense, bitter public feud. Ignited by recent remarks delivered by the talk show host herself while speaking to a high-profile audience at the prestigious Cannes Lions Festival. On that international stage, the media mogul offered a startling and deeply dramatic recollection of the events that occurred when the cameras were supposedly not rolling, claiming that the iconic singer had suffered a catastrophic relapse by the time of her appearance and had actually stumbled and fallen directly off the physical stage during the production. This retrospective account immediately sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry, as the host detailed how she had allegedly stepped in as a protective shield, begging the studio audience not to reveal what they had witnessed because she believed such a revelation would completely destroy the singer's fragile attempt at a professional comeback. According to this version of the story, the atmosphere in the studio was one of immense panic and damage control, with strict non-disclosure agreements allegedly forced upon everyone present and severe threats of immediate termination directed at the production staff if a single detail of the incident ever leaked to the predatory tabloid press. But this dramatic recollection, presented years after the fact as an act of historical benevolence and protective friendship, was almost instantly met with a fierce, unified, and incredibly public wall of resistance from those who were closest to the legendary vocalist. The singer's estate led the charge with a swift and uncompromising rebuke, flatly denying the allegation of a drug relapse and offering a radically different explanation for the physical mishap. According to the estate's official statement, the legendary performer did indeed experience a fall from the stage, but the incident took place during a routinely chaotic pre-show sound check, a time when the performance area was deliberately kept in near-total darkness, making it incredibly easy for someone unfamiliar with the specific geometry of that newly constructed set to lose their footing. The estate emphasized with absolute clarity that substance use played absolutely zero role in the accident, shifting the blame entirely onto the unsafe physical conditions of the television studio and the lack of basic safety precautions. This official defense was soon powerfully reinforced by an incredibly passionate and vocal eyewitness who was standing a mere matter of inches away from the singer when the fall occurred. Tiffany Dixon, who served as the iconic star's personal hairstylist during that exact promotional tour, stepped forward into the public arena during an intense live broadcast with a prominent, longtime fan advocate to completely dismantle the media mogul's claims, labeling the entire story as absolute baloney and an outright fabrication. Dixon expressed deep psychological disturbance over the host's recent public statements, arguing that there was absolutely no truth or validity to the claim that the singer was high or impaired on that fateful day. Instead, the close associate provided a vivid, frantic description of the backstage environment, asserting that the production crew had fundamentally failed to properly rope off the dangerous edge of the elevated stage, creating an invisible drop-off in the dim lighting of the studio. Dixon maintained that the singer was completely sober, upbeat, happy, and entirely focused on delivering a spectacular performance to mark her long-awaited return to the spotlight. The stylist's public outrage was driven by a profound sense of loyalty and a refusal to allow a beloved friend's memory to be unfairly tarnished for the sake of making flashy headlines at a corporate marketing festival. Adding even more weight to this growing wall of resistance, an anonymous insider who was intimately familiar with the exact logistics of the 2009 production came forward to validate the stylist's account, describing the legendary performer's mood during that entire weekend as incredibly positive, energetic, and completely free from the influence of any illicit substances. The tension surrounding the situation reached a boiling point when a highly respected veteran entertainment journalist entered the fray, delivered a devastating blow to the media mogul's credibility. Roger Friedman, a well-known industry insider running a prominent entertainment news site, publicly called out the talk show host's Cannes Lions speech by referencing a highly specific historical receipt from the recent past. Friedman recalled an extensive 2021 digital meeting that included the legendary music executive Clive Davis, during which the media mogul herself had explicitly and unambiguously stated to a large group of industry professionals that it was absolutely not drugs that caused the singer to slip and fall on her stage all those years ago. The veteran reporter asserted with immense confidence that the host knows her recent statements are completely untrue, going so far as to reveal that he knows exactly where the archival video recording of that digital meeting is securely stored and that he is fully prepared to produce it into the public domain if it becomes necessary to defend the singer's honor. Friedman expressed profound disappointment in what he characterized as a cynical exploitation of a deceased artist's legacy, arguing that the host had chosen to weaponize a tragic history simply to capture the attention of the international media elite. This explosive revelation of a complete contradiction in the host's own storytelling has transformed the controversy from a simple dispute over a backstage accident into a much larger, incredibly high-stakes battle over media integrity, historical truth, and the ethics of celebrity storytelling. As the public demands answers, the deafening silence from the media mogul's official representatives has only served to increase the intense pressure and speculation surrounding the entire affair, leaving audiences to wonder how two diametrically opposed versions of the same afternoon could exist within the highest echelons of the entertainment world. The profound fallout from this public confrontation extends far beyond a simple dispute over a television studio accident. It highlights a permanent shift in how the legacies of our most cherished musical icons are protected in the modern media landscape. For decades, the dominant cultural narrative surrounding great talent was almost entirely controlled by a handful of immensely powerful gatekeepers who possessed the absolute authority to shape public perception through massive broadcasting platforms. When an artist of such historic magnitude experienced struggles, those struggles were frequently commodified, turned into dramatic spectacles that drew massive ratings while reducing a complex, living human being to a one-dimensional cautionary tale. The 2009 interview was originally positioned as a safe harbor, a rare space where an industry legend could speak her truth to a trusted peer and begin a glorious new chapter of her artistic journey. Instead, the sudden recharacterization of that afternoon as a scene of hidden chaos and systemic cover-ups has forced the public to confront the deeply uncomfortable reality of how vulnerable even the most celebrated figures can be when their personal history has become raw material for someone else's public relations narrative. This high-stakes clash over historical accuracy reveals the immense value of eyewitness testimony in an era where official records can be easily manipulated or rewritten to fit a more sensational agenda. By stepping forward so aggressively, individuals like Tiffany Dixon and veteran journalists like Roger Friedman are establishing a critical precedent, demonstrating that the close associates, friends, and trusted professionals who actually inhabit these spaces will no longer remain silent while a deceased icon's memory is exploited for contemporary headlines. This collective resistance represents a powerful reclamation of history, a fierce insistence that the truth of a human being's life must be preserved with dignity, accuracy, and respect, rather than being distorted to serve as a dramatic anecdote at an international marketing festival. The unwavering defense mounted by the singer's estate further underscores this determination, proving that the institutional stewards of her artistic and personal legacy are fully prepared to draw a hard line against any revisionist storytelling that threatens to tarnish her memory. The controversy serves as a stark reminder that the journey of a true icon does not end when the music stops, but continues to unfold through the collective memory of the millions of people who were touched by their artistry. The singer's profound impact on global culture was defined by an unparalleled vocal gift that brought immense joy, comfort, and emotional healing to audiences across the globe, transcending boundaries of language, geography, and generation. To reduce the memory of such an extraordinary individual to a singular, contested moment of physical vulnerability is a profound disservice to the immense body of work she left behind and the millions of loyal fans who continue to find solace in her art. As the dust begins to settle on this intense public debate, the overarching lesson becomes incredibly clear: the era of uncontested media narratives is officially over. and the power to define a legacy now rests firmly in the hands of those who demand absolute truth and integrity. The absolute refusal of the talk show host's representatives to offer a formal response or a detailed clarification has left a lingering cloud of skepticism over her initial claims, reinforcing the public consensus that some stories are simply too sacred to be manipulated for fleeting media attention. Ultimately, the enduring brilliance of the legendary vocalist remains entirely untouched by the temporary storms of television industry politics, as her unmatched voice continues to echo through history, a timeless testament to a brilliant, beautiful, and deeply resilient soul who gave everything she had to the world. The battle over what happened on that dark studio stage in 2009 is a powerful